We're going to try another problem here where we use the guess method, which was introduced last time. G is for given, the quantities we know. U is for unknown, the quantity we're looking for. E stands for the starting equation from which we're going to do our work. And in my class, for this unit and for the next, those are essentially the only four equations that we will need. So we just have to look at the variables that we are given, the one we're looking for, and decide which of those equations is going to help us get to the answer the best. The first S stands for solve the equation for the unknown variable, and then lastly, we will substitute the numbers in. Let's do another example. We have a pygmy goat that runs toward a feeding trough with an initial speed of 2.5 meters per second. So V initial is 2.5 meters per second. If the goat slows down at 0.42 meters per second squared, now we aren't exactly told what that quantity is. However, we can look at the units, and the units, meters per second squared, are the units for acceleration. And that tells us that that quantity is an acceleration. Now, we need to be a little bit careful here, and here's why. We are told in the problem that the goat slows down, and anytime an object is slowing down, the sign of the velocity and the acceleration must be different from each other. So either this velocity has to be negative, or this acceleration has to be negative, and the other one positive. It doesn't matter which is which, but we have to make a decision. So I'm going to put a negative sign in front of that 0.42 meters per second squared. That negative sign came from our brain. How long will it take the goat to reach the trough? So clearly what we're looking for here is the time. The other given that is kind of hidden in the problem is the final speed of the goat. This goat, we assume, is going to stop when he reaches the feeding trough so that he can eat. So V final is going to be 0 meters per second. The equation from our allowable choices here is the same one that we used in the last video, and that is the one for acceleration, which is acceleration is change in velocity divided by time, which is V final minus V initial divided by time. We know what VI is, we know what the acceleration is, we know what VF is, and we're looking for time. As quite often happens with this equation, we're not going to use that middle part again. We do, however, need to do a little bit of work for this first S, which stands for solve the equation for the unknown variable. This equation, you can see, is now solved for A, and we need it to be solved for T. I will show a little bit of work. If you don't need to show work, that's fine. But in order to get T all by itself on the left side of the equation, the first step that we would do is to multiply both sides by T, which would leave us with that. Then, to get T by itself, and in the numerator on the left side of the equation, we would divide both sides by A. So that means that the time is V final minus V initial divided by A. Lastly, we substitute the numbers in. V final is 0, V initial is 2.5. Both of those quantities have the unit meters per second. The acceleration is negative 0.42 meters per second squared. You can see that the numerator and the denominator are both negative, which is really good because that gives us a positive time of 6.0 seconds to two significant figures, and time can never be negative.